Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we have a talk about a Linux project, such as a distribution, desktop environment, or application. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that's Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. Happy 2026. Can you believe 2026? It's crazy. It's like Y2K was 26 years ago. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm Nate, Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, I got a fantastic panel of people. I've got Michael Tons, I don't know, Dale of Low Tech Linux fame,
Sure.
Zebedee Boss. I got Adam Aris, Neil. I don't know how to say your name. I can't read that. Jinda and Mike Chilson. How is everybody?
Good.
Doing good. Thank you.
Move.
Healing.
Fantastic. Healing. That's good. Yeah, your story makes every time you talk. I listen to your story. I ache for some reason. I got like these phantom aches. I don't know what's going on, but here we are. So
Sympathy pain.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, if you would be so kind as to hit that little like button if you like this. If not, we have that thumbs down button. Hit that twice to make sure I really get that message good and strong. And also, if you'd like to join the chat, feel free to do so. There should be a link somewhere to join the Discord where we can chat some more. You can provide your voice and input, maybe even your face if you're feeling so brave. Usually Jinda feels brave, but I haven't seen those Hot Wheels in a couple weeks now. So
every time I try to do it, it crashes.
Oh, does it? Ooh.
Yep, it logs me out.
Oh,
I'll try.
I was having camera crashing as well in the Discord a little bit, but eventually I fixed it by going into the settings and just doing like a test video in the settings, and then it worked.
I tried that. It only works there.
You know, I use OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, and I don't have any problems. So, anyway,
I didn't know that. You use open source OpenSUSE?
I do. I keep
I'm
plushies
so
on my desk.
surprised, Nate. I would have never ever guessed.
I keep all the important things on my desk to look at, instead of working, I play with toys sometimes, DeLorean. Anyway, I gotta put these away. Anyway, if you'd like to keep the conversation rolling, like between the shows, we have a Discord and a Telegram. Also, be sure to do the straw poll if you have not done so already. Do check out that straw poll. It's about which of the following do you predict will happen in 2026? And I think someone said they're ridiculous.
Some of them are possible and some of them are ridiculous, which is always fun. You got to have the mix,
Yeah.
Oh, I totally
am
agree.
interested to see how much of the ridiculous actually makes it to the top.
Well, that's all part of the fun of it, for sure. I have a box of Commodore 64 things in the way. All right. So first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? So I was trying to get someone to kind of say something. I think Neil, you probably had the most exciting thing to talk about. Or am I misguided? I don't know. You seem like you always have something exciting to talk about.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, I guess there is something to talk about for sure. Maybe a little bit.
Always.
This just earlier today, it seems like it's rolling out in the interweb. So I'm not surprised that you haven't heard yet. But it seems like a new desktop release has gone out, and it brings with it the change from X11 to Wayland for the Budgie Desktop. Budgie Desktop 10.10 just released. I don't know, a few hours ago?
Yeah, a few hours ago.
So I did not know that it was still a thing.
Well, how dare you, first of all. Secondly, the Budgie Desktop is actually really nice. I think that it's one of the it's not a very known desktop for sure, but because it's only like a couple distros use it. But it's a pretty well polished desktop, and there actually is some interesting changes happening inside of the they've implemented some changes that are likely to continue in a path to Qt. So I think that's pretty awesome.
I mean, their
awesome.
logo is very cute. That is true. And the desktop looks very cute as well, but not.
I meant QT.
Yeah, but
That joke is still a thing. My goodness.
The
Well-
Budgie Desktop icon is good though. Like, you know, it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, that's the one I use, and I love it. I've tried others, and I just keep coming back to Budgie. So.
Budgie's
well,
nice.
they
and,
made a
like,
new release.
polished.
They made a new release, and it is, I believe, I saw Josh
Yeah.
uploading the new release into Fedora Rawhide, so it'll be part of 44. So that's all done and dusted.
Nice.
I believe David from Ubuntu Budgie has also was working on uploading them earlier today, and I think he's going to finish that tomorrow because like it released like I think at like midnight his time, so no way he's gotten that done.
Understandable.
So yeah, like coming days, you're gonna see like if you want to like check out the Budgie 10.10 release, like now's ish, you can see it in its in progress distribution integrated state in Rawhide, and I think there's Ubuntu 26.04 dailies now, and I think the flavors are being produced with it. I actually don't know. But if they are, then you can at least you'll soon be able to check it out there too.
Well,
But it's
I think
also Wayland.
Yeah, I was saying that the exciting piece of that article that was in Phoronix that Eris so kindly put into the chat was they officially migrated from X11 to Wayland. So I'm very interested in knowing someone who is using Budgie, if they've tried the Wayland one, how does it compare? Does it seem more performant? Is it smoother feeling? Do they have little weird glitches? I'm really interested in knowing.
I think it's kind of too early for that to be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
I
it's
mean,
like,
I could tell you from having poked at the snapshot releases that
how many.
how many what?
I was just saying like how many people have been a chance to be able to go from X to the Wayland version. You know, because it's going to be not. I don't think many
Yeah.
apps really
Probably
have
no
that.
one right now because this is like it's literally hot off the press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they have experimental Wayland support before, or is this like the first version that they did it?
So this the experimental the Wayland support stuff had been living in Git mainline for about a year and a half. And I think it just, I mean, no one ever like truly released. There was that incident where the packager of Budgie Desktop in OpenSUSE Tumbleweed went and grabbed a Git snapshot that was broken and shipped it to all the Tumbleweed people. But other than that, I don't think anyone actually saw it yet.
Well, you know, to me, I played around with the 25.10 version of Budgie, Ubuntu Budgie, in a VM, and some of the big things I saw that Budgie's been working on, which they're talking about in this document, is it's like they use so many external utilities in the past to make their desktop that they're integrating a lot of that into their own stuff now. Like, for instance, they were using Plank to do all their bars and so forth on the desktop, and that's going away. And it's integrated into the actual desktop now, as opposed to using a third-party product. So that's nice, you know. But that's one of the main things I saw different about it that was nice.
I haven't tried Budgie in a long time. I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted. I apologize.
It's okay. The past few, like the 10.9 series, which was before this one, firmly X11, and there was some stuff that we did in 10.10 that was backported because it needed to be done. But the rest of it was, I think in general, I would say that you're going to experience hopefully a very similar, if not better, than what you had in Budgie 10.9, but there will be differences, because it is a different graphical platform. Like it's not X11, it's Wayland and all this other stuff. But again, as it's hot off the presses, distros haven't integrated it yet. I mean, literally, I think Josh is going to find out how it looks when he wakes up tomorrow. Because he shot all the builds into Rawhide and then went to sleep. So that's pretty much what happened. You're muted, Michael.
Discord muted, because I see the little mute icon on Discord. Is it?
That's weird. Yeah, that happened. What I said was not important. I was just saying that it sounds like he YOLO'd it, and that's always fun.
I was thinking CrowdStriked it.
No, that would be definitely a
that would
bad
be bad
thing to do.
Yeah.
Not recommended.
Hit commit and walk out the door and say, "See us." On a Thursday night. Yeah, so I think it might be time to maybe. I'm thinking here. See, we get the kind of the tenor of the folks here. But what about trying Budgie one of these weeks? Might that be a? Doesn't matter how you try it. Try it in some fashion, or should we wait? Should we wait a little while? What do you think?
I think it's definitely a good idea to do as a test, but it should be waiting until there's like something to. When Fedora gets it, maybe it's
the beta.
The beta's out. That'd be a good option.
Yeah, I think you'll probably see Fedora 44 beta, and I think the Ubuntu 2604 beta are like within a week of each other. So,
so like March.
Yeah, like the beta freeze for Fedora is mid-February, and I think Ubuntu's beta freeze is like literally 1 week earlier. So I expect that they'll actually push out their betas basically around the same time, which is end of February, beginning of March. So
sooner than I was expecting. That's cool.
Yeah, I forget the exact dates because but I just kind of take it as it goes. But yeah, like maybe it'd be a good idea to visit this when the Fedora 44 beta is out and have people and the Ubuntu 2604 beta, right? And try out the budgies. I don't know if any other distros have gone down the road of. Oh, actually, no, that's wrong. I know that Arch Linux now is building it and uploading it into their testing repo, and so it'll eventually migrate into Arch Linux as an update to 10.10 for there. So in a few weeks.
That's a hard comparison though, because it's like build it, choose everything yourself, and so it's not going to have the same kind of experience that people are going to have.
CYOA is not as much fun, is it?
Yeah, but it's not terrible, but it's definitely not. If you're going to compare something, the comparables should be like relatively similar. You know, like if someone picks Fedora as the base to use, then you're going to have everybody who's going to use that is having the same thing. Versus like even Ubuntu Budgie is going to be quite different because I suspect Ubuntu Budgie is still going to keep their interface style, which is more like a Mac style, which is kind of funny because that's how Budgie used to be. Like when Budgie first came out, it had like a Mac style in Solus, and then they decided to switch it to a Windows style, and then Ubuntu Budgie just kept the Mac style. And
that's true.
And it's kind of funny in that sense because I kind of like the Mac style in Budgie more so than the Windows style anyway. So I appreciate it.
You won't get any disagreements from me. I like the Mac style. I even make my KDE desktop that way. Like, I think I've shown you screenshots of my KDE desktop before, so you know what it looks like.
So actually, I do have a hot take. First, so I think the Mac style is fine. I have no preference. I don't really even care. Like I'll just use whatever. Like the interface, I used to super customize my interface. Now I don't care at all. So if Plasma comes with the Windows style, like whatever, it's fine. However, I have recently switched my keyboard shortcut stuff, and I have adopted as a test the Mac style of moving the control where command is. And on Mac, there's certain keyboard shortcuts that I find infuriating. But I do think that control should be there where Alt is, because it is way more useful and way more likely that you're going to use it. So having your thumb there is a lot more like comfortable than having the like. And I used to be like a proponent of like control being like the best option on the far left. I used to, and then now after I got used to playing with it on the thumb, it's so much easier and such more comfortable that I've gotten used to that, and I now use that style, but exclusively on the left side of my keyboard. The right side, it's still the older style with so I think it's like mine is like a weird like hybrid. And I also think that the way Mac does it is bad, but if you do it on Linux, you actually get a combination of like that's perfect. So having Alt where Super is and moving Super to Control is a lot more convenient for your hands because you hardly ever use Super. And when you do, it's not that inconvenient to just go to the Control side. Whereas on where you use Control, it should be the most convenient thing because it's the most used modifier, period. So
And to be honest, you can take all that with a pinch of salt because this is the man who uses a keyboard that's got no letters on it.
No. So Zeb is talking about this keyboard. However, Zeb is also not talking about this keyboard, which also doesn't have any labels, because I recently got this and it's awesome.
I rest my case.
No. Because it has a wheel. It's awesome. Anyway, that's not important. But just to make Zeb happy,
I have a keyboard with a wheel too.
There's labels on this one. See, have.
But it's not a keyboard. It's too tiny.
No, it doesn't have a numpad.
It's going to be a 75% thing, isn't it?
No, this is a 80%er.
Or 80% though.
Yeah.
No, it's not
why not map control to caps lock?
I mean, I feel like caps lock is actually a little less convenient because you could use it, but I actually switched my super key to caps lock because I rarely use it. So my pinky shouldn't be the dominant, in my opinion, because the thumb is a lot more convenient and more just comfortable.
I could see having control on like a thumb button if you have like a split keyboard or a dual keyboard, but thumb on Alt seems kind of difficult to then get to the other keys on the left.
Well, you move
so
the
like
keys.
If you have your thumb
so
on that, then A, S, D, Z, X, C, like those are kind of crunched up there. Whereas if you hit the pinky with the caps lock for control, you have the other fingers to hit the other keys.
I mean, that is true, but I feel like the thumb is not in the way on the control if it's in the Alt's position because I understand what you're saying. It is a little bit more convenient to have it on the caps lock. And obviously, to each their own, any of those choices. I'm just saying that the typical Windows style keyboard shortcut layout is wrong, and I will say that as a hot take. It is wrong, and Linux should not adopt it. Should not like be beholden to it. And that's what I'm saying.
So I find this very interesting because I use the super/meta key a lot. That's actually one of my most heavily used keys that I use in Plasma because I hit that and I start typing for applications. So I'm using it all the time. And I don't think I've ever even used Alt like with my thumb ever. My hands are kind of big and sausagey, so I don't know that I can do that dance. And on top of it, I totally disagree with you, Michael.
It's fine. It's okay to have disagreements because that's the whole value of being like the platform is super customizable, so you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying that I feel like people should give it a shot and try the different layout because I don't think that the typical Windows layout is the premium layout for keyboards for the modifiers. Obviously, you could already disagree with me, but if you haven't tried it, I feel like you're kind of skewing your own perspective.
You're missing out, yeah. But do you ever put your fingers on the home keys? Because if you do,
almost never.
If you do, both thumbs are in the middle of the spacebar. They're nowhere near the Alt key or the.
Yeah,
So
if
you
I'm
physically-
typing something, sure, and I don't care about the modifiers when I'm typing. So it doesn't. This is only when I'm doing like interactions with the windows and moving the windows around, or alt tabbing and stuff like that. Like I just don't think that the, I don't think that the typical layout is the most efficient layout. I don't think that the Mac layout is the most efficient either. It's more efficient, but having Control and Alt combined in Mac is ridiculous. So like having Command C and Command V being the exact same function as Command Tab. So you're basically going back and forth between something that it's a controller versus Alt. And I do like the separation on Linux, but I do like the keys switched over to. And also, it turns out every desktop environment has the ability to do this. Like it's just like you go into the keyboard behavior and you choose one setting and it just switches it all to this particular layout. And so that's nice. So I've tested. Cinnamon does it. Plasma does it. Like,
do you ever use Control C, Control V? Because like if I'm trying to work this out here. If I had to hit Alt with Control C, like that's.
You do have to move the keys on your keyboard if it like for me, I don't move my keys because I don't care. I don't even pay attention to the keys label. So like Zeb pointed out, I have this that doesn't have any labels, and it's very easy for me to use this and convenient, and I don't think about it at all. So I actually do have the wrong layout on the keys, so it doesn't matter to me. But if you could just move Alt, the bottom row, like I'll just put, you can move the bottom row right here and make Control where Alt is, and then move the Windows key to the left side for where Control is, and then do it that way, because I don't think that Windows is going to be used as much as Control or even as much as Alt once you start using the benefits of Alt. Like as a lot of people, especially when I'm doing like video editing, Alt is super useful, but a lot of people don't take advantage of Alt because they typically just use Alt Tab. But if you're in a browser and you want to go to a specific tab, you can do Alt 1 or Alt 2 and go directly to that tab. And you can do that in like your file manager and a bunch of other stuff. And there's a lot more of like where Alt is a lot more useful that people just don't take advantage of it.
40 years of muscle memory gone in 5 minutes with Michael Tennell.
You're welcome.
That should be the name.
I mean,
I would do something similar, except
I did it to myself.
I would be a little lazier, and I would probably just pick up a Mac-oriented mechanical keyboard and then call it good.
I mean, I did the same laziness. I didn't move the keys, It's just I just changed a setting. That's it. But if you're the type who want to have that more cohesiveness, then changing the keys is worth it, in my opinion.
I will say that after many, many years of bouncing back and forth between the Mac and the PC keyboard layouts, I have become very sad that Lenovo has finally given into the peer pressure and made Control the far left key instead of the function key. Because now my hand hurts when I have to hit the Control key.
I agree.
I was just going to say, I despise using ThinkPads because of the position of the Control key. I screw up all the time. Like I just because of how I'm a heavy Control user with the way I work, and so I hit Function, whatever. I'm like, what is wrong? And I oh, that's right. Okay, so I actually will not use a ThinkPad keyboard, and I know you can change it in the BIOS, but I would rather complain about it and yell at the keyboard or use a separate keyboard. That's my.
So would you say you're a Control freak then?
Ha.
Boom. Yes.
But in all seriousness, I think all of the Lenovo ThinkPad models that have been released in the past 2 years have it flipped to the traditional PC way, which is the Control keys on the far left, then it's bounded by the function key, and then you have the Alt and Super keys.
So basically, the way Framework does it by default, everybody should just follow their model, and then everything will be fine.
See, I don't actually like that part of the Framework laptop.
Okay.
How dare you?
You can be wrong.
Nate, are you actually asking for a standard to be adhered to?
No,
Look, man, if I could get a Framework laptop with a Mac PC with a Mac-ish keyboard layout, I would be a very happy camper.
I like the I like either one. I can understand why anybody would want a control on the far left or a function on the far left. I could get why both of those are more convenient. Like, there's an argument for both ways. But
well, Cubicle has those ham hands, so having the control key on the far left seems to be fine. But all us normal people, this is an issue.
I think the far left is an option, is a reasonable option in the sense of like, first of all, I don't care in any way, but having it on the far left is a lot more convenient because you don't even have to look. You can just move your hand to the edge, and it's like, okay, there's no key there. Then it's obvious this is control. So I could get why there's a benefit. And also I understand why people would want function there because control being closer to the other keys would be arguably more convenient too. So like it doesn't, either one of those, I get the argument for both ways. However, control should be right next to spacebar undeniably because it is the best option, period. Hot take.
I mean, my hot take is we shouldn't be using the control key for any GUI keyboard shortcuts.
Why?
What?
Because the control key should be reserved for operating system level and command and terminal command control actions.
No, okay. Operating system level, that's what super key is for. So we're good there. Terminal is out of date from the 70s, and I don't care about the ridiculous shortcuts in the terminal.
So even though that my argument is logical, you don't care.
No, it's because it's not logical. The fact that Control V is like page down in a terminal is ridiculous. Like everyone knows, like in every other application, the copy and paste are the standards.
My argument is that those kinds of things should be using homed on the command key or the super key, whatever you want to call it, because then it is exclusive to the operating system environment and everything is coherent that way.
Yeah, like, super key should be like a
platform,
universal.
When you use Command C, Command V, it works regardless of application, even the terminal, because there is no intercept by the terminal application. Like, sure, that's what I'm saying.
But that could be done with control as well. Like the whole problem is that the terminal is arbitrary.
You typically cannot rebind command line and terminal applications.
Yes, because terminal is super out of date, and that's the problem.
Yes, but people have to still be able to use it effectively. I am not disagreeing with your premise. I am disagreeing with your sense that this is something that you can change.
Well, I mean, obviously the middle click paste is the best option ever.
Oh God. Okay, you want to talk about middle click paste?
I actually hate that. I hate middle click paste. But
let's help Nate out here. Next.
Good call.
It's been so long since Zeb did a next on me. I like it.
And
I'll second that motion.
And I'm gonna have to say, Michael and Neil, you're both wrong. Anyway, all right. So moving on.
Whoa!
You can't just transition like that.
You can't do that. You just brought the topic right back.
Of course you can. He's the host of the show.
It's usually one or the other are wrong. To have both wrong, that's a weird universe to live in.
That blows my mind.
Everyone should conform to using middle click for paste, so you can hold two things in the buffer at once without having to go through any menus. And yeah. I like having two buffers.
So I actually
or just use a clipboard manager, man.
I do that too.
Oh, but now
I don't think that's the worst reason for middle click paste, but hear me out. Global auto scroll.
Yes, global auto scroll should be there. Auto scroll, anytime I'm in a browser or anything and I click middle click it doesn't scroll, it annoys me so much.
Right? I'm so used to the auto scroll thing. I love that capability.
Yeah. It's so useful. And also it's more precise when you need to do something and you don't want to because if you do like the scroll wheel or if you do the arrow down or page down, it's just like a big jump. What if I only want to go a little bit down?
If you got to lean on auto scroll, you got some booty mouse wheels, man. You got to get some better mouse wheels.
The real reason I use it is so that I don't hurt my fingers more. Because like RSI and crap like that sucks. And if you're not doing repetitive stress injury to your fingers.
Yeah, you ain't got to move your finger. You just hit it and let it go. You set it and forget
I hit the
it.
space bar and it goes down a page. And if there's something I need
That
to
is
focus
still
on, I just search
RSI.
for it. Like,
Yeah, but you could do the same thing with the page down or whatever. That whole point is, what if I don't want to go that far? You know, like I just want to go a
Well, the
little
whole
bit.
point is I don't want to do a repetitive action that can actually hurt my hand.
That's true too.
to get a mouse wheel that like allows you to freely scroll instead of.
You still have to
Free
move the
scrolling.
finger to scroll.
Because then you don't
Oh,
then
my.
you don't have like an next
okay.
It has like a freewheeling mouse wheel.
So I have
Like,
I have
that
a
solves your
freewheeling
problem.
mouse wheel, and I have the one you
I
can like
own a
click back and
freewheeling
forth.
mouse as well. It's not the same thing.
But the problem is that this is going to go a lot faster, and it's not as precise. And also, what if you want to
But
be
now
like,
you lose like all middle click functionality because it's taken over by a scroll.
what middle click?
Well, you don't
functionality?
have a
No, you
middle
don't.
mouse button. You have a scroll wheel that pretends to be a mouse button.
But also, you don't really see. See what you did here, Nate. So you don't actually
Done goof, Nate. Yeah.
You don't actually need to lose middle click functionality in any way because like, it should be context aware. Like a browser, when you middle click a link, it's going to open a new tab, or when you middle click a tab, it's going to close it. Like it still has that function. It just also has the ability to do auto scroll. Like you just it just needs to be the
You have
application
the
needs to be
option,
context
sure,
aware.
but like.
I mean, it's also an automatic
I
thing.
could
It's just
not.
like this. My opinion is the pasting is not that useful, and it's a super ancient functionality from like the 70s and 80s. I think that it's
It
because
predates X11.
President Michael, round 2. Ding ding.
It's the most.
don't next me again. Yeah, that's just rude.
Probably middle click paste is probably my most used middle click function I use. I use it more than middle click close or any of that stuff. I use it all the time. But also I started on Unix before Linux, so that's probably why.
That is actually probably why. Because like middle click paste originates from when they introduced the mouse to Unix consoles. It's a Unix thing. And X11 picked it up afterwards.
It's a Unix
And everything
system. I
on the
know
Unix
this.
line of stuff kind of had it. Although I don't think middle click was ever a thing on the Apple line, even with AUX and then later macOS.
No, they only had one
It's
button
because
for
they
the longest time.
had one button.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a little hard to do middle click when you only have one button and you can only fake the second button with the what was
Command
it, the command
thing.
key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how you do a middle click simulated on macOS. I need to look that up.
I tell you what I want. I want a clapper that pastes when I clap. So when I go,
Agreed.
it
Yeah,
claps.
that's a good
It
idea.
pastes right into the text. That's what
I think
right.
we should implement
That's-
this.
I think Mike wins this one. I think that's exactly what we should be doing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, on that,
I
we
can
should go
see.
ahead and move on to the straw poll. I'm sure we had plenty of time for people to knock out that straw poll, whatever they thought about which of the following do you predict will happen in the year 2026.
Are we going to go through each one of these and see like how ridiculous they are?
Well, Eris will,
Okay. Nice.
if he's up for it, yeah.
I wish the poll would say like percentages of participants instead of votes. I mean, that doesn't make any sense because you can click multiple things. So I made a spreadsheet, of course.
I love it.
Of course. Naturally.
And I will say there is a errata in this poll. I meant to say SUSE will change ownership instead of OpenSUSE. That was a mistake. I think it's obvious because why would
Yeah, I think people were like, yeah, it's fine. It's about the same thing.
Pretty much.
And so the number one answers or the number one predictions with the majority of the votes is Linux market share increases by more than 2%, and Cinnamon will be Wayland ready by 52% of the votes, followed by 43%. A new Linux desktop environment will ship its initial release, and then 30% of the vote. One of the big independent distributions will cease to ship growth by default. 24% Tux Penguin. 18% XFCE will be Wayland ready. 9% for the following. Linux Mint changes its base from Ubuntu. Mate will be Wayland ready. Intel will change ownership. None of the above. 9% and 6%. OpenSUSE will change ownership, or
Who
SUSE,
said
I guess.
that?
I think SUSE is the most likely to change ownership.
We actually
You know?
I actually received a comment saying that I think this will likely happen because it happens like every other year.
Yeah.
Somebody said that.
Every
and then,
every 3 to 5 years, SUSE changes ownership.
And then 3% Canonical will change ownership. And finally, 0%, 0 votes for Red Hat will change ownership.
Because that means something happened to IBM. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not happening. I also don't think Canonical will have any chance that would happen either. Or I don't think the ownership. I think the ownership thing, the only one of them would be SUSE just because of the track record.
You guys are so rough. By the way, working with SUSE people is like they're awesome. Like if you ever have a commercial relationship with a company, they're fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to the people from SUSE, and I don't have any there's nothing against SUSE whatsoever. But they have been sold like 6 times.
Well,
so just
like
track record.
It's like a fish eats a bigger fish than a bigger fish because the other fish is dying, and so that fish eats that fish. Yeah,
that's
true. Somehow it keeps surviving and like swimming away. Like
that's probably the most impressive thing is because the company that owns SUSE gets bought by another company, and SUSE continues to still thrive, even though, like, usually when a subsidiary changes hands, that's when it's like a death knell, you know. But it's fine. Seems to be just keep going.
I think we missed.
They already went through their death knell, so they can only go up from there.
Yeah, but I think we missed a caveat on the Linux market share increase by more than 2%, because it should have said, and stays there for longer than 3 months.
I don't think that's. What if it hits the Linux market share, gets 2% in December? Then it can't be. It can't do that. So like, I feel like that's giving too much of a. You know,
Well,
that means that's not a 2026 prediction. That's a 9 months of 2026 prediction.
So you think it's going to take a year to get there, then, Michael?
I think that it's more likely to do that. I mean, we went up 2% 2025 to like 3 points.
1.8. It's like 1.8.
It was like 2 point or 3.1 or 3.2, then to 5 point something, and so I feel like it's possible.
1.8.
Yeah, but it went from like it took it until I think October or November for that to happen, something like that. So I think it's going to take a significant amount of the year.
I mean, it's definitely on an upward trajectory, and it's not quite it's not quite that J curve, but it is showing like the beginnings of some pretty substantive growth. So
I think it's doing pretty good in terms of like if you just go back like 5 years, the percentage is drastically different.
You know,
we've made a lot in a very short period of time.
I was going to say, a friend of mine who works in healthcare, they're evaluating Linux because the current version of Windows 11, even when you turn off those features, it still reports back screenshots of patient data, which is, you can't do that with HIPAA, you know. So there may be an exodus there too. So
wow,
that's interesting because
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Windows recall is literally a violation of HIPAA at all times.
Yep, absolutely.
Except recall's only
It's
on
a violation of a whole lot more than HIPAA.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only on the brand new machines that applies recall.
No,
it's
you
available.
get it on upgrade.
Yeah.
It was switched on twice by Microsoft.
Recall won't work without the AI chip in the PC. It does not work.
No, there are 2 versions of Windows Recall. One version of Windows Recall uses, if you have it, hardware, the local hardware to run the floating point algorithm-y machine learning stuff. The other version will augment it with Azure Cloud resources to do it instead.
I've never had recall enabled on my Windows machine, and I run it naked, as in it's installed, it runs, because I wanted to see what happens. And I've never had recall installed on my machine. So I don't know who's getting it or what they're doing to get it, but it just doesn't happen automatically. At least not in my experience.
Well, I don't know how to verify one way or the other on that. I'll have to do some digging. Look at my PC. I'm running Windows 11 LTSC on this machine. Not right now, but with Winboat. So I don't know if that has recall in it. Does that have recall in it? Windows LTSC? Do we know?
No.
It does normally, but you said you used some other tool to make the install, so it probably doesn't.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, that's exciting stuff. So I guess this actually leads us right into the first question or first discussion point we had about the Windows, I'm sorry, the Linux desktop share. So in 2025, globally it's about 4.7%, at least what I pulled up. But maybe Michael, you said it's like 5.1. I think it was over 5 in the U.S. But globally, I got 4.7.
Yeah, it was like 5.7 or 5.6 or something in the U.S.
Okay.
I think it went up to 5 globally and then it went back down. I don't think it stayed.
Anyway, so well, I mean, it's constantly fluctuating because there's new users coming online, and I don't know, and the way to count it is very dodgy to begin with. So who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
So in the U.S., it did hit 5. So what do you think that actually means? Do you think we'll see market share climb higher? Do you think we'll see better hardware support moving forward? Or do you think more of this anti-Windows backlash happening? And then how far? What kind of percentage do you think we are going to see? Like we said, increase by more than 2 in the prediction poll. But where do you think it'll actually land? If you don't think it'll be 2%, it'll be like we're like talking. Zeb, what do you think? Like 1.5, 1? Do you think it's going to drop back down to 3?
Well, I don't honestly know, because I don't think that 2% increase was due to a backlash against Windows 10 reaching end of life. I think that's more of Steam producing an awful lot more Steam OS, handheld devices, and everybody's jumping on that bandwagon because they got fed up with the shenanigans. Yes, some of it is to do with the shenanigans at Microsoft, but I don't think they're jumping onto Linux per se, rather than the handheld devices, whether they are Steam OS ones or the what's that other really expensive one?
Lenovo Legion Go.
The Legion Goes and all those sort of stuff. So I don't think it's because people are jumping off to Linux. It's just that so many more types of machines now can run Steam OS. Therefore, it sounds like Linux is going up. And I'm not trying to say that because of a negative thing, but I hear way too many. I mean, there was that famous report that 1 million users have now downloaded Zorin OS, but it doesn't mean they installed it and kept it. They just downloaded it to have a look at it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no, you can't really track that anyway.
No, exactly.
I mean, well, they could if they wanted to.
If they wanted to, yes, but you can't, as a community or as like individuals, we can't look at that data. But I wish every distro tracked that data, because it's ridiculous that we don't.
I mean, the closest proxy that most distributions have for identifying how many users they have is how many unique connections to their update infrastructure that they get. So, like, for example, I think for Fedora, at least with Fedora KDE, I think we're like, I don't know, 100,000 or something like that. I forget exactly, but something like that. And it's and like Fedora Workstation's like 170, 180,000. And I don't know if that's what current numbers or some time ago, but like basically somewhere in that ballpark. And if you look at most distributions that have update infrastructure where they have correlation to unique machines, like OpenSUSE has this in there for their metrics, you'll be able to see something along those lines. The initial downloads of ISOs mean basically nothing. Like Zeb said, like you don't know what the hell that means, because the different downloads that you have can reflect on basically whether someone is going to do anything with it, whether they're replicating it for someone, whether they're sharing it, whether they poked at it in a VM and decided it sucks, or they installed it because they loved it. Who knows? It's basically speculative.
It's because they loved it and they kept using it.
Wouldn't we all love that?
I know I'm personally skewing the numbers of Tumbleweed users because I have it installed on probably a dozen machines and they're actively updating. So I know I'm personally skewing the numbers there. So
I'm okay with
that's
that.
totally okay. I think the idea shouldn't be based on users. It should be based on machines anyway. Because if one user has like 5 machines, that they're still going through the process of having all those machines working, and it's still a separate use case. And they're almost never using for the same purpose. It's usually like, you know, a home lab or something like that. I think it's totally fine to do that. But I do think that every distro should have some level of tracking machines, just the count of machines at least that are connecting. And we do have the mechanisms to do it, which is kind of sad that we don't do it.
It almost sounds
I mean,
like
for what it's worth, right? Like, this is how Android market share is counted. It's not counted in terms of users. It's counted in terms of devices.
Yeah, because you've got a laptop at home and then 3 people use it. Well, that's 3 users using Zorin OS or using Linux, but it's not. It's one machine. So you cannot count those types of scenarios.
Yeah, I think the idea that people are going to have shared machines and then some people are going to have multiple machines, I think that kind of like evens it out, really.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I use different SUSE project distributions for work, different functions there too. So I know I'm doing my part for sure. So isn't there a way that you could estimate the number of machines that you have based on like what's doing updates and like maybe like a core set of packages? Or is it not
you can do that. The problem is that some distros refuse to do that, and that's where the numbers get destroyed. Like for example, Linux Mint has gone on record multiple times. They refuse to do any kind of tracking of users, and it's fine that you don't want to track users. I respect that. However, tracking the randomness of a random machine connecting to your servers and just keeping track of how many do that, you're not tracking users at that point. But they don't do any of these kinds of tracking. So like that's the mentality I feel like is the problem that we have in the community.
Yeah, I think most of it is because, you know, Linux and the community are so anti-tracking that they don't want any sort of resemblance to the amount of monstrous stuff that Microsoft is currently doing to track its users and to, so, you know, if anybody says to me like, or if people were to say in general, oh, but we're only tracking the number of people who are attaching to our servers, there'd be too many people who say, well, you're just as bad as Microsoft. And there's no way that anybody in the Linux community wants that, because that's one of the forerunners of Linux, is that you are not tracked. It's your machine. You're free to do what you want. You're free to come and go as you want. And we're not going to keep tabs on you.
Yeah, but that's not even the point. It's not even about tracking what's they're doing on their machine. That doesn't even matter at all. Like if they don't want to be tracked in any way whatsoever, just to like their existence in the platform, then don't use the free connections of updates. Like that is the most like completely reasonable request. Like, hey, all we're going to do is say you connected to our servers and we're going to keep track of the amount of connections that people had over a month. That's it. That's not tracking the user.
But not reasonable to a lot of other people.
I know, but I'm saying like we need to just pull off the Band-Aid and say like, just because you think this is tracking doesn't mean it's tracking. And just because Microsoft has been awful or Apple's been awful doesn't mean that this is automatically awful. Like any tracking whatsoever, any data collection whatsoever is awful. That mentality is why we have such a like super skewed data. And if we had the numbers to show that we do have a big platform, which we do, but if we could prove that, this whole argument of like these companies refusing to make software for us because we're not a big enough platform could easily be negated. And the whole reason is because of just arbitrary, like punishing the good platform for what the bad platform does. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but that's the same as Pareto's law, isn't it? 80% of your problems are caused by 20% of your users. and it's very, very hard to break that.
No. If a user wants to say I refuse any kind of tracking and they choose to take themselves out,
No, but I'm talking about it
whatever.
as the mentality of it. It's that 80% law, 20% law still applies. Yeah, 80%.
Yeah, the 80-20 rule.
Figures,
The 80-20 rule everywhere, right? Like,
yeah,
it ultimately comes down to, you know how people say things about like bad apples and spoiled bunches and whatever, right? One bad apple does spoil the whole bunch. That's like literally what the original quote is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Certainly does. But the whole point is that if a person doesn't want to be tracked, they can choose to not be tracked. And this is also a conversation that I've had. I think Zeb and I had this on the podcast a long time ago, but I am for opt-out. And I think that opt-out is better. As long as the opt-out is being done with respect to the user, which is possible, it's not a bad thing. Like if you're installing the system and it asks you the question to opt out or not, then that's fine. If it's hidden, then that's not okay. If it's hidden inside a EULA or whatever, that's not okay. But it's not hidden at all if it's in the installer. So I think that that distros should do opt-out telemetry. Well, not telemetry, but data collection, purely for the sake of like, it doesn't even have to be like the whole thing about what hardware you're using or any of that stuff. Just the basic of this computer is running this distro and it is consistently running it over the course of a period of time by connecting to the update servers. That's enough.
Yeah, and hold on to your hat and sit still. But yeah, I agree with you on that. It's if you have opt out, those people who don't care less are just going to go next. But those people who really want to opt out will stop, read, and opt out. So you're going to get much better statistics coming through.
Yes, agreed. I also think that it's not a good, like the whole, I've heard people argue that they should just force you to make a choice between in and out.
Test.
And I don't think that that's actually a good idea because some people don't want to choose at all. They don't care. So forcing them to choose makes them choose no when they would normally not care. It's just like on principle, like you're forcing me, I'll cut it out. And I think that that's that doesn't work either. But it's like, I understand why there's like, well, I like how KDE Plasma does their system of like, there's a different tier of the data you're sending. And like, you could choose what tier. I think that some of that stuff is in the wrong tier. I don't think their tiers are correct because I think it's like, there's a couple weird things that are after like a higher tier that are like that shouldn't be that high compared to like when location data is in there lower. Like the location data should be like the absolute highest possible thing it could be.
I think you got to pick and choose your battles, Mike, on that.
Yeah. That's fair. That's
a rough one.
Yeah, that in my opinion, location data should never be included whatsoever. But I understand why some apps want it like a map app. That makes sense. But for the majority of the time, I don't think that's ever okay. And I specifically delete apps on my phone if they ask for a location, even if especially if it's not like relevant to why they're asking me. But anyway, the point is that I feel like the Linux community needs to just embrace the not necessarily data collection, but just the existence that we're using it. Because like everybody who talks about like, why is this one company not making a Linux app? Well, because every single time they're asked why they don't do it, they say, show me the numbers, show me how many people use your system. And that
we don't have that information.
Yeah, we don't have it. And we have distros like Mint, which, by the way, I like Mint. I don't have anything against them. However, I do vehemently disagree with not tracking this one piece of data because it is very useful. And, the fact that we use the Steam hardware survey as an example of how many people are using Linux because there's no better option. is unfortunate because it eliminates everybody who's not a gamer. So it's like we should put more effort into like
but
acknowledging the data is good.
How many times have you had a splurge of it where every time you start up Steam, you get the server and you go, oh, not again, but no, I'm not going to do it. Oh, no, not again, I'm not going to do it.
I mean, I do it every single time, no matter what, but just on principle, because it's like...
Just blame Steam and just say they're fatiguing everyone else. That's why we don't have good usage for other apps.
There's some people who don't even get the survey for like a year, and other people get it like all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I almost never get the survey.
I actually got it a week ago twice on 2 different machines. I loaded it up on my laptop and I loaded it up on my desktop, and both of them popped. I was like, that's
because
shocking.
You're always on a Mac, so nobody cares about Macs.
That is not at all true.
No, not you. But I think it was Conan, didn't he? You said he never gets it.
Oh,
yeah, but I only play on my Linux computer.
Yeah, it also, like, I actually don't think that. I think that here's a hot take again. Okay, someone who uses a Mac it's fine, like whatever, because at least it's Unix, at least it's a cousin of Linux, and they do certain things where they pretend to care about your privacy. You know, at least there's that. Whereas Microsoft, does not care and happily tells people they don't care. So that part, it's like, I don't get the appeal. Do what?
Google don't care.
What does Google matter?
Well, you're saying that you're just picking on Microsoft because you hate Microsoft, but there's loads and loads and loads of companies out there who don't care about privacy. They just want your data to make money out of
But that's a whataboutism. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just because
any of them.
Yeah, just because Google is terrible doesn't mean that Microsoft's not terrible. They're both terrible. Like, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, but all I'm just saying is adding another,
No, I'm just saying that I understand why people would pick a Mac. Like, I personally choose Linux over Mac, but if I had a choice between Mac and Windows, it's an easy choice. Like,
yeah, Windows every day. Yeah,
Mac for 100%. I can't stand Mac in general. Like, it irritates me. But with Windows, I feel like it's attacking me. You know, so very different.
Yeah. I am forced to use Windows at work, and I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I actually also think that that's different. If someone works and their job requires them to use it, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not. And also, I don't think it's necessarily wrong. Use whatever you want. I don't care. But I just understand why people would pick a Mac versus, like, it's hard to convince someone who has a Mac that they should switch to Linux, because it's like 80% close, right? Versus Windows, it's super easy why Windows is bad,
give us a choice.
I can't really. If someone at my workplace wants to install Linux, I will not stop them. I will, in fact, encourage it.
Oh, of course.
Because, well, I'm the IT manager, so I can do that. So anyway, I was going to say, I do get the displeasure of using Mac from time to time. And I realize it's probably because I'm just not accustomed to the Mac. But if I had to choose between a Mac and a Windows machine, and I couldn't use Linux for whatever the function was, I'd probably go with Windows. I feel.
Oh, I feel like we have some hot takes happening this episode.
Yeah. I really feel like every time I use a Mac, I want to bash my face into a wall. Like it's
Why is that?
It's a frustrating experience. It doesn't seem to. It does not seem to do what I ask it to do. It's like it says, no, I want you to do it this way. You're gonna do it this way. Like Windows doesn't seem to care, but doesn't care about anything. Like I would say, Windows is they just want to show you ads, and I can't really. I'm not sure what exactly was it. Oh, I was just trying to open up a stupid media file, and it would not allow me to run it in the application I wanted to run it in for whatever reason, and it should have worked. Eventually, it did work. But I had to fight the operating system just to do a simple task, and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I'm with you on that one.
And also, the way they handle in Windows, if you double click on the bar on the window edges, it'll like just full screen it. And I did that on the Mac and it didn't work, and so I had to like it was really frustrating. And I do admit I'm very Plasma centric on everything, so I have certain things I expect things to work in Plasma, and it just does it. And so when using a Mac, it's really like I'm stepping back in time 10 years or 15 years. It's like I'm using KDE 3 or GNOME 2, and it's really frustrating. So nothing against those that love KDE 3 Trinity. Great desktop if you like it, but to me it just feels like I'm stepping back in time. It just feels so old and out of date. It's like it's stuck in 2003 is kind of how it feels to me. And I've just moved past 2003. Okay, that's 22 years now, I guess. But so
I was going to say, steady on there, Nate, because you got Present Arms in chat.
So,
as the person who's like really into retro gaming in the Commodore 64, I don't think you went past 2003.
No, I'm still stuck in 1985. But when I'm using a modern computer, I want it to do like behave modern. No, I have nothing against
That's
Trinity.
fair.
In fact, I like Trinity Desktop. It's fine. It's just not, it's fine for what it is. But to me, I feel like the Mac OS is just a really archaic system. It just feels old and tired, I guess, is what I'm saying. So that's all.
I mean, I can understand why people wouldn't like the interface for Mac. It's definitely annoying in many ways a lot of times. So like
Finder, I hate Finder. Finder's terrible. It's garbage.
Is that the file manager?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And finally,
yeah.
Windows 11. The reason I like Windows 11 is because the file manager in Windows now is useful. They have tabs. You can open things in new tabs. It's actually really flexible and nice, comparatively speaking. So I would say Windows, as much as I dislike Windows, it feels like a modern experience. Get rid of the ads.
It sounds like what you're saying is actually, I mean, there's tabs in Finder, but there are things that are annoying, like middle click not working, and sometimes does. Like sometimes it works on certain things, sometimes it doesn't. So making new tabs, and and I also do regret like the keyboard and short navigation of Finder is irritating, but it sounds like you like the new Windows file manager because it's just more and more like Dolphin.
Yes, that's exactly it.
I knew it.
Okay. So anyway, that's it. But the thing is though, it's like if someone wants to use Mac and they like it, good, use it. Be happy. I don't care. It's like I don't judge you for what you want to use. I just don't care. If you're happy,
use the tool that's right for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Go for it. Again, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't like GNOME, but if somebody loves GNOME, use it. It's great. It's good for you. It works for you. That's tip top. I hope you do great things with it.
Yep.
If someone just wants to use IceWM for whatever reason, use it. So anyway, that's
actually I'm covering that. I'm covering the latest release of IceWM in the new episode of Twill. So funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and I guess that's actually a good segue to my desktop environment topic that I wanted to get into. So this coming year, so it seems like right now there's a lot of momentum behind Plasma, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a big Plasma fan, but maybe I'm a big Plasma fan. That's why I'm saying it. But anyway, so they had the fundraisers. They smashed all their goals. Did I have a feedback?
You're doing awesome. And also, like a lot of people are getting more and more open to KDE Plasma, like than it used to be. Like it used to be like KDE Plasma is just this desktop on the side, and people were like, yeah, whatever, sure. But now people are. It's much more like the KDE fandom is bigger than it used to be. Like it's now like it's always been GNOME versus KDE, but now it feels like Plasma is like on even footing with GNOME at this point.
I think it's a default desktop in an awful lot of distributions now.
I think that's a relic of KDE 4 where it really was slow and buggy, and a lot of people just didn't want to use it because of that. And when it got good, and at the end of KDE 5 and now KDE 6, people are finally realizing it's no longer KDE 4 and it's actually good to use.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. That there was this stigma that KDE's had forever, and people still say that KDE is bloated, even though it uses less resources than GNOME and has for the last 10 years. But
which is kind of my point.
yeah, but the whole thing is that the whole issue with KDE being bloated was for like 6 months. It only lasted for like 6 months because back in like Plasma 4.3, there was this weird bug that just made the resource usage just basically go like memory leak crazy. And that created this stigma for the rest of KDE, like the entire time. It's been, and people have said it's bloated and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been that way since like 2009.
Yeah, and the thing that was 6 months, it actually, you know, in people's minds lasted for years.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy because I will admit, I thought it was bloated because I accidentally used it during that 6 month period. And it was like, and then you don't go back for like another year or two. And then I had a conversation with some people, like some friends that were talking about like, hey, you know, you should use Plasma. And I was listing off all these things that I was doing in GNOME and blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, yeah. And I was like, can Plasma do this? And they're like, yes. Can Dolphin do this? And then they're like, yes. Yeah. And then they said, and here's a bunch of stuff that KDE can do that GNOME can't, and that Plasma and Dolphin can do that Nautilus can't. And I was, oh, okay. So that's okay. You're kind of convincing me. And then 12 years ago, I gave it a week. Like I'll try it for a week and see how it goes.
Remember which version that was?
4.12, I think.
Oh wow.
Roughly. Maybe 4.8.
Late 4 was great. Late 4 was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really good.
4.14. Like at that point, I was like, here's the thing. I also think that the design of 4 was a big problem for people because it was what's the phrase? Ugly. It was ugly. It was very. It had a heavy brush metal approach, like design for the windows, and then a blue glow around. It was like that blue glow in the background of a YouTube set. Fine. Your windows, no, thank you. But then Plasma 5 fixed all that, and it looks great. It looked great in 5. It looks great in 6. Like, you know, all that sort of stuff has been solved. But 4.8 is when I started. I'd have to go back and look at when the release was, but I do know it was early 2014 because when I said it, I told the friends that I was going to use it for like a week, and I have been using it since then. So I remember when it happened because it was shocking to me that I was like, oh, I'll just give it a week. And then now it's been over a decade and Plasma has been awesome.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the problem with Plasma as well is people's definition of what do you call bloat. I mean, they open up Plasma and they look at the like 24,000 different things you can do with it and go, whoa, that's too bloated for me. Well, that's not bloat. That's functionality. But they don't see it as functionality. It's just, oh, there's too much for me to, no, I'm going back to GNOME because it's just click this and it works. Whereas KDE, you can really tweak it to the way you want it to be. And that's what people call bloat, even though it isn't.
Speaking of tweaks, I got hit with the this UX bug. It's not really a bug, but like, you know how the overview is awesome in Plasma now? Well, if you have multi-monitor, you can't force that overview to be triggered in the middle monitor's top left corner. It has to be always on the leftmost monitor's top left corner.
Yeah, it's because it does it by pixel variant.
Well, not only that, but somebody gave you the perfect answer, Prof, when we was in that chat. For that overview to initiate, you have to go past the screen almost. And you can't go past the screen on the middle monitor because you're then on the left monitor. And the same for the right monitor. You can't go past the edge of it because you're then on the middle monitor. So until somebody can force that monitor to be 2 pixels less than it actually should be so that you can then move outside the frame of the window.
But it goes to show you like how like the beauty of like the configuration like environment that Plasma provides, especially as they're like taking the good stuff from GNOME and integrating it. Like there's still something where the stereotype of like I can configure all these things, and then you go down that rabbit hole of like fighting your configuration to make it the way you want to tweak it. It's just kind of, it's almost like, I almost like chuckled, even though it was like frustrating. I had to chuckle at myself, like, this is so Plasma, like, you know, but I'm sticking with it for now.
Just
I
as
mean,
an
I just
aside-
like. I mean,
Okay.
no, go ahead, Snake.
Was it just as an aside? Like, so I have basically four different modes that I use plasma in, and so like right now here I have basically I have an LCD. I have lots of LCD in front of me right now, so I quite a bit. This is my biggest setup here. I have an optional one over here too. I don't use it all the time because Commodore 64 is over here right now. But anyway,
setup.
yes, and I think I've shared pictures of it in the past. In fact, you can go on cubicule8.com, you can see it's a picture of what it looks like. So, then I have in my lab, I have another setup. I have a 4K screen and then one off to the side and then below. And so they're all slightly different. And the beauty, when at work, I have another very different setup. And then I use Desk Flow to basically use my Windows machine because there's certain Windows functions I need to have while I'm there. Anyway, so I have, what I like about Plasma is it's so stinking flexible and adjusts to my different, workflows. Also when I just have my computer by itself, no external screen. So it's so flexible and handles so graciously changing all these different modes. And there was a time when that was not a thing, when you couldn't just change things. Like if you try and do if you try and do what I do with like a Windows machine, it's going to have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
So
Especially the Windows specific, or the monitor specific setting changes. It's like
yes,
impossible.
And it remembers where my monitors are every time. So there's no monitor roulette that I have to play when I plug in. So it's absolutely fantastic. The other thing too about Plasma is being able, so like, again, I used to use those gestures, those hot corners, whatever. I only use them when I'm in laptop mode because it's the only time when it's convenient. I will actually then, I have keyboard shortcuts that I use to do the different overviews, or I'll just use the gestures on the touchpad because I can't, it's just too much of a swing, when one edge of my monitor's over here and it's over here. Mode. Yes, I am in overview mode all the time.
Yeah.
So
I do laptop all the time. And because I use my desktop every now and then when I'm doing like recordings and stuff, but for the majority of the time I'm using my laptop now, and it's just more convenient because I can do work on a couch, or I can work on my desk or whatever. And the mention about the plugging in the stuff, like it used to not be this way, and I don't know when Plasma fixed this, but for a very long time, and I've been enjoying this experience for a while now. But when I'm using my laptop just on the laptop, then I don't have to worry about external monitors. But once you set up the external monitors, and the fact that it keeps it accurate is so nice, and like it's an I don't know. It's not, you don't give it as much gratitude as it should because of how like it used to be in a very annoying process of having to switch it every time. But now, like some desktops, you do have to switch it every time. But now I just basically plug in the connectors and it's all fine and everything loads up. And I even have a vertical monitor on my desk that is like for side stuff. And it always keeps the correct monitor layout.
Well, then
that
you guys
used
are
to
going to
not
have
be
to
okay.
teach me what you're doing, because I've got my big 49-inch widescreen that I've split into two monitors, and then I've now got a new 4K monitor to the right. And every time I go into KDE Plasma, I have to move the 4K, which is now on the left-hand side of the big one, back to the right-hand side. And I even have to swap the two monitors that are like left and right in front of me the other way around because it forgets all the time. So you guys are going to have to teach me what I'm doing wrong.
Are you using a dock to like connect it with?
No. It's just literally a 4K monitor here going into the same graphics card. My 49-inch screen has two cables coming out of it going into the graphics card. So I've effectively got three screens, 27-inch, 27-inch, and 27-inch. But the 4K always ends up on the left-hand side, and the two 27 inches swap. And no matter how I configure the cables, no matter how I configure the monitor, it never remembers. And it's a single, which is why I love X11, because I open up in NVIDIA settings, I copy the monitor layout, I copy the monitor layout into a file and have that run every time the computer starts. So my computer starts wrong, and 3 seconds later, after it's booted, it suddenly goes dark, black, and everything's in the right position because of that X11 file that you can run under NVIDIA settings, which again, I haven't been able to work out how to do in Wayland.
Yes, that's a problem.
I almost passed out when I heard someone say, "That is why I love X11."
So
It is a rare thing to say. I mean, it's not as rare as you would imagine, but
Yeah.
So I do have to tell you. Sorry, go ahead.
And I was just about to say, I think I'll be enshrouded in a pine box before I fall in love with Wayland.
I mean, it's not about loving Wayland. I mean,
pine?
A pine box, yeah.
Why pine?
I haven't got money for a walnut box.
maybe a cedar.
One more dates with Wayland, maybe, hopefully.
So I have to tell you now. I've been using Wayland exclusively now for about 3 years, for basically as long as I've had my framework laptop, and I would say Plasma and Wayland is so good about remembering monitors. I want to tell you this is an honest to God truth, and I probably should do a video demonstrating this. But so I have these two dual up monitors, and I can interface with them directly, like with USB-C, or I can use HDMI, DisplayPort, whatever. And so I've actually, just because I was playing around with it, especially early on when I was testing things out, I switched from using USB-C to HDMI into the framework laptop directly, and it knew where that monitor was and put it right back where I had it, going from USB-C to HDMI. So it knew. And also, I plugged then this USB-C directly into my my dock, which has USB-C out for the monitors, and whether I plug it directly into the computer or into the dock, it knows exactly where to put it. Like, it remembers something, some value, some intrinsic value that it provides, some serial number or something. It knows and will put things back where they are. So the monitor I have this dual monitor. So that's also when I'm a digital nomad, like I will be this coming week. I can take this monitor with me, and it will. Right now it's above my computer, so I will, when I go someplace else and I plug it directly into the computer, it'll remember that it was above before, so I have to reset it to be beside it because I'm not in that mode. So good or bad, it remembers no matter what intermediary it's going through.
So do you think
docks.
that's because of the difference in between HDMI and DP? Because on my graphics card, I've only got three DP and one HDMI, so I can't put all of the monitors as HDMI into the graphics card.
No, I did different inputs. So I did different, like HDMI or using USB-C direct, because it's USB-C to USB-C is how this monitor is connected, and it's a totally different. I mean, it's actually DisplayPort. Yeah, it remembers that. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it
USB-C also does like DisplayPort type of tech too, but so like it actually is interesting because sometimes DisplayPort is not as well supported as HDMI in some distros, but the desktop should be able to remember anyway. But sometimes DisplayPort is not as reliable, and I have tested that myself. And DisplayPort, if it's like a direct connection to like a desktop, DisplayPort is perfect every time. But if it's in and out movement between a laptop connector, that could be a problem. So it definitely is possible, and especially if you split, like it's could be an issue there too. But it might also be like which one is seen first, and not and like the signal being sent in like a weird order. So it's more like you might need to like just do a detection of because I've tested it multiple times where I'd have the laptop plugged into one of the monitors and it detected and put it where I want it. And then I plug in the next monitor and it does the same, and it detects it and puts it where I want it. And then it detects like, oh, now I have 3 monitors. Or when I close the laptop lid and put it to the side and just have the 2 monitors, it detects that too once I make the changes. So I feel like it could just be like the individual monitors that you have that are not being detected properly, or it could be the order of which one is being activated first.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right on that one, especially because this was one of the, I think, second series 49-inch Samsungs that came along. And sometimes I'll load up KDE and this left-hand monitor is dead until I go into the controls of the monitor, switch it over from being 50-50 to 2/3, 1/3, and then switch it back, and then the other monitor comes alive. So I think it might be a monitor issue, but it is very, very frustrating. And this is not just a Linux problem as well. It does it in Windows. So I think it might be time to upgrade to a new monitor. But then there's very few new monitors now that I would like that have more than one DP interface in the back, which I think is crazy when most NVIDIA graphics cards have 3DP on my HDMI.
So the funny thing is that the DisplayPort should be the better supported everything. Like it should be. And I think it's just because HDMI's been around for so long that it's got so much more testing and that sort of thing. But the DisplayPort being the open protocol and being the open system should make it the most reliable and most useful and stuff like that. But there's still like certain specs that are not up to the same level of compatibility that HDMI has, just because HDMI has been around for so long. So, and also HDMI has been adopted as like a standard for, as a standard for stuff, TVs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just has so much more applied to it. But I do think that if you submit an issue with the KDE team, they will take a look at it, because that's one of my favorite things about KDE is that the team is much more is so responsive and so like helpful compared to other projects and stuff like that. So like,
are you asking me to create a bug report?
No, never.
I was going to say, good grief.
He's about to pass out.
No,
have you forgotten who you're
send a
talking
message to him on Telegram or something, and you're good.
So speaking of the Wayland thing, whatever, and issues or not that we have with it, are there any other like desktop environment tweaks that you crave in 2026, or any specific Wayland polish you would like to see?
Dynamic workspaces, per display workspaces.
What do you mean by dynamic workspaces? You mean like the virtual workspace, like the virtual screens or virtual desktops?
Yeah, like virtual desktops, workspace. So here's the thing: virtual desktop is the term that KDE uses, that Windows uses, and Mac uses, and every other Linux desktop calls it workspace. It's very confusing, but they mean the same thing. So I'll just use virtual desktop, because I suggest that to every single desktop, because it's such an awesome functionality. But dynamic in the sense that when I move I have like an open thing I can just move a window to. So if you open the overview in Plasma, you got that little plus button that you can drag a window to it, and it will put it on that workspace or virtual desktop, and that's really nice. But once you close that application, or you move that application off that workspace / desktop, it will stay. Versus dynamic would automatically close it because it's not being used. So that is, it's much more convenient in terms of like, especially if like one of the few things I like about Mac is that if you maximize a window, it just makes a new virtual desktop. I think that's a functionality I would like to see in pretty much every desktop environment. Just because it's more convenient to isolate stuff that fast just by maximizing.
I see,
but not necessarily saying. like you could do like a regular maximize in Mac and do like a full blown maximize to like a virtual desktop.
Yeah,
so like
for me it has to be a special, whatever, because I maximize things all the time, but for the desktop, or I tile things over.
I prefer to also have like full screen stuff, like in general, but to have a special. So like, there's multiple ways you could do this in Plasma. Like if you go to the maximize button, you click that, and if you left click it, you middle click it, and you right click it, it does different things. So I think that something like that could be applied to the maximize button that gives you like a full virtual desktop maximize, and that would be cool.
See, when you're saying dynamic desktops or whatever, dynamic workspaces, I was thinking that there's a new feature in Plasma, which I'm sure you're aware of because you know everything about Plasma. But if let's say I have Thunderbird on multiple desktops, workspaces, whatever, desktops. I call them desktops. And I can have it so it's in this corner in one of them, in another corner in another one. So it actually it will remember where I've placed it and not affect the other virtual desktop. So I can have for different workflows that I'm working on. Let's say let's say I'm thinking about the Michigan facility. I want things arranged this way, and I'm doing the Texas facility. I want things arranged a certain way, but I want certain things to be on both virtual desktops. But I can actually specify where I want different windows, even though it's the same application on multiple virtual desktops. It can be in different positions. It'll remember that, which is very cool, which is a new feature. Anyway, but I think that's very handy.
I think that like certain parts of the virtual desktops being isolated are very cool, and that's one of the things. So I think that is very cool. I haven't messed with that, so I don't have an experience with it, but I do think that that's a good idea. I think there's a lot of value to dynamic workspace or dynamic virtual desktops, and also the per display. I feel like dynamic would be cool, but it's not like that important. Whereas per display is much more important to me, because having multiple different workspace or virtual desktops on a different monitor, like not having them all the same. So if you switch one monitor to a different virtual desktop, you actually switch all of them to that.
Right.
And sometimes I want something to always be there, and I have to like force it to always be on top or whatever. So that's kind of annoying because it just adds an extra step. If there was per monitor virtual desktops, then that would be ideal. Like I would love that.
But just to bring everybody back down to a sensible level, what you've got to realize is people like us here are the tweakers, the geeks, the people who love playing with things, yeah? Whereas I'm sure that there's a lot of Linux users out there who just want to turn their machine on and use it and not have to worry about complicated, organized setups because you've got this unique feature you want. So out of 1,000 users, if you've got 3 people who want what you want, Cubicle Nate, they're not going to produce it first. They're going to produce what they think the everyday user wants.
I guarantee.
And that's the way
that's not how it works.
I'm an edge case. I guarantee, like, absolutely, I am a total edge case out on the fringes, hanging on a strange branch that looks like it's going to break. I do things and I push things well beyond or outside of maybe how somebody else thinks. And I know that. I absolutely 100% know that. And you are correct. When somebody else comes in my office and looks at my setup, they look at me like, how do you even function? I'm like, well, thank you. So, yes, you're correct.
I think you're right, Zeb, but I also think that there's an element where I disagree, but that's mostly because you're saying that they're doing it based on like what the average user wants or what the people are expecting. I think they build stuff based on what they want to build. That's it.
Well, it depends. It depends whether they've got a really good structure or not, because any good, decent software company will have a user forum that says, right, these are the features that we think we can build into it. Who wants to vote for this and who wants to vote for that? And then they will build the top 20% and leave the others until they get more votes. That's certainly if you've got a good software company that has a user forum that interacts with the developers to say, what do we want coming along next? And then they will build what the majority of that user base wants, rather than the top 5% who want all the fancy
Zeb, the basis for your statement though is based on getting data collection from users, and that's just not allowed.
Yeah, well then, that's my statement was based upon working in a software house for the last 10 years as well.
That's funny though, because Dell actually listened to the people, and they decided to bring back the XPS line because they were trying to kill it off and do some weird naming conventions that spun off. And while they goofed up on like some of the aspects of the latest hardware model, people like really lashed out. They said, no, don't do this weird naming convention and Pro Plus. And they responded and listened. So I guess if you have enough connection with the user base, some smart companies will.
Well, that's not enough connection. That's just enough people are screaming at them to stop doing bad stuff.
How many times does that not work, though? People scream to their blue in the face, thousands of people, and it doesn't work. But this one time, it actually worked.
I mean, that's it's kind of funny how, like, instead of saying like Dale did something interesting, it's just Dale brought something back that people wanted in the first
they
place.
fixed their goof.
But to prove what Prof was saying, that's exactly what Microsoft do with their Windows Linux insiders. We are completely ignored, and then Windows do what they want to do anyway. So what's the point of being a Windows Linux insider if your voice is not going to be heard? And that's one of the most frustrating things when you're part of a group who's meant to be helping develop the product. You give them all these ideas and they go, we're going to ignore you lot.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons I abandoned Windows entirely, because I was an insider in like the beta phase of Windows 7, and then they ignored everything that people were saying, and then also then after we were forced, or like we gave them free work and testing, they then said, okay, now pay for your system. Like, so I don't even get the system, even though I'm doing free work for you. Like, you're still going to charge me for it. And at that point, I just dropped the mic and got rid of Windows and just went to Linux completely, because I was already dual booting at the time. But at that point, I was like, nah, I'm done.
Well, I've been a Linux insider since Vista Beta, and it's just been frustrating the whole time since. But I like being in the insider beta because I get to test the new stuff first that's coming along, and then warn people as to whether or not it's going to be any good for them.
Well, I mean, it's Windows, so it's not.
I was gonna say, because Ed mentioned like the average, more and more the average person just wants their machine to work. For 2026, do you see things like Bazite taking off even more, and Bluefin and Aurora becoming more of the default?
I actually think so. I think the Windows backlash, I think, hasn't happened yet. Honestly, I think because for most people, they're just going to keep using Windows 10 at this point until their applications stop working. So until that happens, we haven't seen that yet. But I think that Bazite or however you want to call it, I think that's. I'm saying however you want to call it.
No, man, that is how you're supposed to say it. Just so you know.
I heard it was eating.
I said it when I first said it on Twill. I was wrong, and then I talked to them in person, and they told me it's Bazite. Like, oh, okay. They don't care really, but it's Bazite.
I was going to say, let's not bring up the old mate argument.
Let's keep it going. Ziti.
Mate is correct.
Martin Winters couldn't care less. It's mate.
So Wimpy doesn't care, sure, but on the homepage it does tell you how to say it.
Yeah, no, it's just.
I mean, he was a developer. He's not a developer.
Let's get back to Bazite.
So I think
Bazite.
Bazite. I'm English. It's Bazite.
I do think that the very easy drop in, like as Zeb was saying earlier, most users don't really care. They just want to do a thing. The operating system, the interface, for most people, it is a meaningless. It is just something you travel through to get to your destination. Nobody lives in their desktop unless they're a nerd like myself.
Like us,
yeah, like us. I don't want to make
like us, yeah.
Judge anybody here as nerds if they don't be called a nerd. You know, they're on a Linux Saloon podcast.
That's a badge of honor, in my opinion.
I think so too. So
what you're saying, though, is this entire conversation is meaningless.
To some
What's
people,
meaningless?
Yes, this entire conversation.
Yes. So to the 47 people right now that are into the stream right now, they are probably about all the people in the world that care about this conversation. So anyway, all that being said, the rest are sleeping. What I'm saying is, like, Bazite is a great way to get to your destination, to play games. You just want to do some specific pieces of work. You just want to work, and then you also just don't want to worry about your machine, being your enemy. So destroying your files and whatever. And so the way it handles the transactional updates, where it handles all the upgrades in the background without you even knowing or interfering with you, and then you reboot into that, and everything just works. That I think is a better long-term model ultimately for people, because for most computer users, because they don't want to think about it. They're essentially, that's what their Android phone does. And if you're using iPhone, I'm sorry. That's essentially what it does too. That was a shot at you, Michael. I don't know if you were picking up on that.
Oh, I heard you. I just chose
Showing the higher road.
higher ground. Yeah.
I'm curious because I know Neil had some really, not hot takes, but like good points about the reservations of sometimes like being Flatpak centric with things like Bazite R. I'm curious seeing if Neil has felt like these type of operating systems, some people like using the word distro composable or distros or mutable, but forget that for the side. But like if Neil or anyone else like thinks like, is there something that they're doing right that they could do better in this area, or is it just like?
I think the update system is awesome in these things.
Yeah.
So I'm using Bazite, and I have been for maybe a year, at least 6 months, and it's really nice. Now, I will say that the way they do the updates are kind of weird in the sense that if it's like a beginner, they're going to see like terminal stuff, and that's just not. It doesn't look great.
Let me stop you right there, Michael. My wife started using Bazite about 250 days ago, and the terminal popping up for updates does not affect her one bit.
Right, I'm saying that
he is a normal person, just a gamer.
No, I'm saying the first time it'll look weird to some people.
She did not give a crap. It's
okay. Now here's the thing.
Small thing.
Here's the thing. Did she think she had to interact with it, or she just like clicked it and
she hit upgrade and hit yes, and then just sat there? That's it.
Yeah,
it's not even that.
That's not the point. Is that the stigma of Linux using a terminal has always been around forever.
She didn't leap onto a table scared of the terminal. Like it was fine.
Okay, that's great. One anecdotal person did negate the thousands of people who complain about the terminal.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
But my point is that if it was just an interface that looked less terminal-like, it would. That's the only thing that comes across.
It looks more Windows-like because that's what people are used to.
No, because then they would also have like all their data tracked and everything, and it'd be terrible.
Now who's obfuscating? You just wanted it easier for the user to just click a button and then forget about it.
No, it literally is that. It's the interface looks, because it is a terminal, but it is literally just click a button and it updates. That's why Bazite is awesome. Like it's just, if they made it less terminal looking, is what I'm saying, then it would be without any issues.
Is it a Zenity looking thing where it's like it's a
it's literally a terminal?
It's literally a terminal. So there's
it opens a terminal window and then does everything in the terminal window. But it does everything automatically. So you don't even touch it. You just click it, it sees updates, and it does updates. And it does it with the applications, it does it with the system, it does like just everything just updates. And then when you're done with when it's finally done and you need to reboot, it says hit R to reboot, and that's it. You're done. And then it reboots.
Okay. I have to say, I've never seen Bazite do that. I've only done the updates through the Steam interface, and it does all the updates through that as well.
So do you have your Bazite go straight into Steam, or do you have it working?
I think he has it on a Steam Deck.
No, I have it on a 1X.
Right,
Ready 1X, whatever it's called.
Whereas
the handheld edition is different from the
totally different,
regular version.
But on a PC, you can have it do the same thing. You can have it go straight into Steam, and therefore you're on this massive big handheld, or you can have it give you a traditional desktop, and then that's when the updates happen, like Michael's talking about.
Yeah, you can do it on Steam Deck as well, but it's kind of like my whole thing about the Bazite experience is great. Like it's the not having to worry about updates ever is awesome. Like I never have to worry about it anymore. There are certain things that certain times where a random use case is not totally there. but for the majority of the time, I haven't had any issues. The only thing I had an annoyance was Sublime Text is not is technically a flat pack, but it's so out of date that it's not usable. So I was just basically kind of bummed that I didn't have Sublime Text. But then I found Zed, which is great, and it's base, and it has, and my favorite part is that it has Sublime Text keyboard shortcuts as an option, and then I just switched to that, and it's great, and it's fine, and I have no problems.
Is that Z as in ZED or XEB, the Mint one?
ZED.
ZED.
Yeah.
No, ZED, yeah.
ZED.
ZED.
I'm an American, and I will say how I want. Just like you could say Buzite because you're British that way. I will say what I want.
Yeah. Just don't call me Zebedee Boss because it's Zebedee Boss.
Well, that's different. That's different. It's not about the letter itself, but also GNOME is there too.
But I never thought I would be on an immutable system, and I installed Buzite. I got it set up. It works.
Mm-hmm. It's nice. It's
Can
just go ahead.
I was going to say, here's a interesting topic, especially when it comes to like how we're introducing these operating systems to, like, friends and family. Some people think we should call it a distro, like Bazite the distro. Some are very feeling like we just call it Linux, because eventually this is going to be the new norm, and they're having a slow play. It's like a long game. They want people to just call it Linux, and they're willing to put up with the frustration of people calling it other things. And then just recently, I think I saw George Castro say that, hey, we just build containers. We build containers in the cloud, and then it just outputs an operating system. And so he's kind of like, there's this weird terminology happening right before us that we don't know what's going to stick. Kind of like what Xerox and copying became, or Google.
So I think it's already stuck. I think it's already stuck. I think everything's already stuck. Like the genie's out of the bottle. There's no fixing it. No, and it doesn't even matter. Like, so here's the thing. I think George. I actually had an interview with George on my channel, and it was really interesting. We talked about all kinds of stuff, and we did talk about the distroless type of a thing, but his concept is not necessarily like it's not a distro. It's more like distro is like having all these packages required, but this is like a layer on top of a distro. So like you could have Bluefin that is powered by Fedora, or Bluefin powered by CentOS, or in theory at some point Arch or something else. But then the base level could be like swapped in and out because it's based on this like image mode stuff. And that takes the distro part of it kind of away a little bit. So it becomes a distroless thing. However, the term distro is just a description of a collective thing that you get. So that term has already been established for way too long to get rid of it. It is what it is. The immutable thing is interesting because none of them are immutable. Like the whole concept of immutable doesn't work because the term means unchangeable, and immutable systems are inherently changeable because otherwise you wouldn't be able to put your data on it, right? So they are not immutable. However, that term has been adopted so strongly that you'll see people like immutable like, or I'll say immutable-ish, or like immutable style. I've seen people describe it. And we're at a point where that word no longer means what it actually means, and it now means this kind of distro.
Yeah, but from a Linux point of view, to me, it does mean what it means, because that was always my biggest problem with immutable distros. As an NVIDIA user, they never, originally in the early days, they never used to provide good enough drivers because they weren't available. So an immutable distro for me, I couldn't use because I couldn't install it and then add me NVIDIA drivers on top because it's immutable. You can't change the base operating system. But now they incorporate all of that into it. So as you're installing it, they're asking you, are you using AMD? Are you using NVIDIA? Are you using Raphael? What do you want to do? So they didn't used to do that before.
Some of them, the way it's been done has changed quite a bit, and it has made it a lot easier because they're taking into consideration a lot more, especially with like the Universal Blue project. Like they made this much more user friendly than the previous versions of this kind of immutable stuff.
100%, yeah.
But what I'm saying is that the term immutable means that it's literally not changeable in any way. So like a system that you would get in a TiVo, that's immutable. You cannot modify it at all. It's not up to you to change it. Whereas these are not technically immutable because yes, you can install applications, you can get your data on there and store it there. And an immutable doesn't allow any of those things. So that's why that term is not correct. And that's why some people don't like it. What I'm saying is that the term has been so well established and so used so often that we're now at a point where there's no going back, and it is what it is.
Yeah, but I think if you say it's an immutable OS, then that's different to saying it's an immutable distro. Because the fact that it is a distro means you should be able to change some of the distro parts of it.
That's an interesting take. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that like I think that's those are two connected things that they're kind of like arbitrarily confused. You know, it's like one's immutable this, immutable that, makes them different. And I don't think that's just too complicated to explain to like an average person. So I don't know. Like I understand what you're saying, and I agree that there is a difference in that sense. But I feel like just using that word immutable, like
that'd be a good stand-in.
It's kind of stuck there.
Yeah, but isn't this whole immutable thing been brought about because people wanted their machines to be more like a Chromebook, whereby you install it and just put your apps on it because you can't muck about with a base operating system. It's there.
Similar, yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, a lot of these comparisons are like Android. Like Android is kind of like this on the base level. Then you have the applications that sit on top. Except Android also has like all the evilness attached to it too. But
Chrome isn't immutable because I can add apps to it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that Chrome is not immutable. Correct.
Exactly.
Nor is any of the other ones. The term immutable does not mean that.
No, but then you're taking the literal term immutable. Whereas,
but also you're arguing something I'm not. I'm saying that we're at a point where the term immutable in the regards of a distro or in Linux no longer applies to the literal meaning, and it is what it is, and who cares?
Correct. And it's the same with bloat. It's the same thing.
Well, okay, in my opinion, that's not the same thing because bloat is nonsense made up for nothing because people don't even know what they mean by it at this point.
Exactly. And now they don't know what they mean by immutable either because it's been...
Well, they do. It's just immutable just no longer means the definition. The definition of immutable has been changed in the Linux terms. So it's just kind of funny.
This is why I bring it up because like this is the problem in the Linux space is that we pretend like we don't care about terms because we're so cool, and then actually, never mind, we do care about these terms. And then when people try to use these things, they can't even know what to search for because it's like, is it immutable or not? And I think it's so far gone. I think the default term is immutable, and just like how we do, like just Google it. No one says just go on the interwebs and do a search engine search for the term. Like no one says that. They just label Google on it and they say Google it.
My point. I think everybody should DuckDuckGo it, but still, the whole point that you're saying is I agree. I was just explaining the context of the term.
Yeah.
But I do agree that the word immutable is
too far.
It's established to the point where it is what it is, and there's no going back. And let's just accept it and move on.
To sum that up, Michael, you were being immutable about a definition.
I agree.
I was not okay. I was not being immutable about the definition necessarily. I was being immutable
about the true definition of the word, or the true meaning of the word.
The true meaning I was being immutable about because that's what it means. But
Michael, how many times have you tried to get the last word with me? Next, Nate, over to you, mate.
What?
I just wanted to just to put a bow on it. So Castro has never officially said you should call it this yet, right? Because
he has opinions of what you should call it, but his whole approach to it is like just call it what it is rather than call it image mode or call it cloud native or something like that. But these terms they're basically not good enough to express what they are to the people who don't
cloud native.
know. Yeah, they don't really define. Well, it doesn't. I mean, the whole concept of them is built. They're powered by being built in the cloud and then pulled down. So like, or what does cloud native even mean? Is like whatever. But the whole point
cool
is that yeah, it is a good buzzword, really. But it like the whole concept is like there's really no word that has described what it is beyond the immutable use. So we can all just thank Fedora for calling it immutable the first time, and then that's what happened.
Is it too late to change free software to Libre software?
Here's the thing. I know you're kidding. I wish it wasn't. I think free software is the stupidest term ever. I will take a hot take on this one. It is awful. It has always been awful, and it has always been ridiculous because freeware means what people think free software means, and freeware predates free software. It's ridiculous. Like the hubris and the audacity to think that they could like change society by whatever methods they thought they could. Like, it's ridiculous. That's not how. It's like you can't coin a phrase. It either happens or it doesn't. And I've always hated the term free software. It's anyway.
But you can coin a phrase because the English language is constantly changing. What we used to say.
No, you can't coin a phrase on purpose. You can coin a phrase by accident. 100, like that happens all the time. It's just like if you say this whole concept of free software, that was always doomed to failure because you're trying to redefine the word free in the context of software. Because some people understand free as in freedom. That's a term that people use in certain cases. But free software has always meant that it does not cost money. And even before that, it was called freeware. So before the free software term even existed, the establishment of it does not cost money was already set. So it's ridiculous to have attempted and still attempt for 50 years and just not accept that it's a lost cause. It is a lost cause.
Okay, I'm gonna bring the British side of it again in, because whenever anybody has said to me free software, I've never thought of freedom. The freedom to use what I want. No, it's free. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's what that's like 98% of the people in the world still believe it to be, and the 2% are people who have like just accepted the concept of the free software movement. But that's only because they had heard of it and it was explained to them and all that sort of stuff. Like if they were never explained it, they would never assume that. It's just a terrible choice. And also, Libre software is funny because that term exists in like 40 languages and it means the same thing in all of them. And it's like, that is the perfect choice because it's not confused. And if people don't know that word, they just look it up and instantly it's, oh, liberty. I get it.
Yeah. I was going to say one last thing about this too, was that this is the reason why naming conventions are really powerful. And when you create something, if you don't name it well, first and foremost, other people are going to fill in the blanks, and you can't get mad at that. And I feel like this whole cloud native, immutable versus distroless, like those who are doing awesome work over there are like getting a little butthurt about people calling it different things. It's like, we're here because you didn't name it well. You let people do their job.
I mean, they didn't name it in the first place.
Yeah, well,
like it was named by Fedora. Like the whole Fedora Silverblue stuff, they were calling it immutable and originally, and then they decided, oh wait, it's not actually immutable. We shouldn't call it that. And they already let the genie out of the bottle. So it's not on the cloud native people, because I don't even think cloud native as a concept existed when the whole mutable thing was happening. In terms of actually, I don't know when the CNCF was started, but the whole approach to like how this is done in terms of image mode versus mutable versus whatever, all of that has been like kind of retroactively trying to like fix it. But now I think it's at the point where there's no need to fix it, because honestly, I don't even think it matters. Who cares if people think it's immutable? Like, does it make a difference if it is or not? I don't think so. I don't.
I always think immutable asterisk, because it's kind of immutable, but kind of not. So I think mutable asterisk might be the You don't have to say the asterisk, but just putting an asterisk there. That's good enough.
I mean, it's like I like to call it immutable-ish, just because it's funny to me, but it also isn't like really a thing anyway.
And sorry to burst the bubble, but neither is Libre. Because I've just done two different searches on two different engines, and the first thing they say is free or independent. They don't talk about it being liberty.
Well, they got the independent part at least.
The free is in freedom, and also like the search engine is like
No,
I'm talking about the definition of the word in English means liberty. The definition of the word libre in Spanish means liberty. Like
well,
whatever.
According to this website, libre means free in Spanish and French.
Yes, but for Spanish and French, gratis means free as in cost. And French also has a term where the word specifically isn't confused. English is the one that has the confusion of free meaning multiple things.
This is AI has the confusion because this was an AI overview.
Why is everyone talking about this Al guy? Who's this Al everyone's talking about?
Al is actually the guy from Quantum Leap. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes. It was great when when Al was on Star Trek Enterprise, but that's a whole other conversation for another time. So we are getting close to time. Actually, we are at time. I had 6 other topics to get to, but we're not going to get to them. So that's okay. No, it's totally fine. I enjoy the conversation. So next week is going to be another open mic night. I kind of want to I want to talk about some more of these things. So it'll be kind of like, I'll call it something else, but like, kind of a continuation of whatever it is, whatever the heck this was. So it'll be an open mic night as well. Also, I will be updating the Linux Saloon calendar. So it's a Google calendar. So if you don't like it, sorry. But it is available for you to see what's coming up. It's not updated yet, but it will be for the year. Also, if you have any suggestions for discussions or distribution suggestions, application ideas, desktop environments, whatever kind of suggestions you have, I'd be more than happy to read those either in email or you can tag it in the Discord here or in Telegram. That would be cool. Also, if you have any straw poll ideas, I know Eris does a great job of putting together these straw polls and really appreciate that. So give him a hand, give him any other ideas. That'd be awesome too. And so I just want to say thank you very much for joining. It was a great start for the new year. Appreciate everyone being here. Lots of exciting things happening in tech, and I think these will either be great times or weird, or maybe both. Who knows? So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move on here to last call. So I don't know if anybody had anything they wanted to say in specific about like any projects they have going on that would like to talk about. I know that Dale's always got something interesting going on. So I don't know if you wanted to say something concerning a video or whatever.
I'm actually planning on doing more OpenSUSE news content.
Oh, good.
And I've started that. I've already got one video that I did the other day that's talking about, in the mailing list, they're talking about moving Tumbleweed KDE Plasma new installs to Wayland. So that discussion has finally started, and in my opinion, later than it should have, but at least it's finally started.
That's cool.
And my goal is that next time I'm on here, which should be next Saturday, this mess is all cleaned up. Wish me luck.
Well, I think what we should do is we should have like maybe we can do a segment on Linux Saloon, like what is that sitting behind Dale? What's that on the floor? that blue box?
Try to guess.
I have a lot of random stuff in here, man.
I get it. My lab is a disaster, and actually, this room you can't see. It's just below the camera level. Maybe you can see part of it. This whole area here is a disaster too. So I've only got I got everything else is fine, but not this part here. But I understand. Well, thank you very much for being here, Dale. Always appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And Prophetic, I don't know if you have anything exciting going on in your world. It seems like you've always got something brewing.
I appreciate it. I am just working on that little productivity app, refining it.
Oh, cool.
And looking, yeah. So I'm getting some feedback from some product people who've made it big in their own world, and getting some, just tips and suggestions on what the next steps are from that point. And also, something happened today that kind of restirred my my fire for marketing and open source. So I might be producing some small clips on marketing and open source projects.
Fantastic. Well, certainly I appreciate you being here on the first show of the new year on this January 10th. So appreciate you being here very much.
Thank you.
And Zeb, so wonderful to see your face again. I literally haven't seen your face in 6 years.
6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was January 2020 when I last appeared in front of the camera for anything Linux related. I've done a few Twitch videos on my World of Warships, but not from a Linux point of view. So the only thing that's been going on me recently is I got back into distro hopping for a short while, then realised that I had no longer the acumen brain-wise or patience-wise, or I can't be bothered with this. So I was really, really pleased when I found Bazite, and it works. So no more distro hopping for me at the moment, unless you happen to say we got a distro hop budgie, and then I may jump on again. But it's nice to be back, and programs like this just prove how much I miss the Linux community. Absolutely fantastic people.
Lots of really good people out there. There's some stinkers too, don't get me wrong, but there's lots of good people out there.
Yeah, I was digging at one of the stinkers today. I've forgotten how much fun it is to poke Michael.
We need a next sound effect.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just
Like a buzzer. You have like a little like a little red button or something you hit to like next, whatever. So thank you very much again for being here. I know it's really late, so truly appreciated. Eris, how you doing?
Hello.
Next week, open mic night. In case I didn't write it down. Open mic night. So kind of some of these other conversations, and I'll weave it in my head, and also I think this is a conversation I just had with Eris. I think for our Linux Saloon infrastructure, I'll probably set up something Nextcloud. I don't know where yet. I have to figure out how I'm going to do this, but some sort of resource that we can utilize as a group. So anyway, thanks for being here, Eris.
Thank you.
And Neil, how's Neil? Is he still there? Did he fall asleep? He probably fell asleep on me again. He does that. He's told me many times I bore him. So I agree. But anyway, thank you very much for being here, Neil. Jinda, you've been so talkative all show.
Yeah, I have to apologize drastically, kind of as usual, don't I?
Yeah, you do. Cutting people off, and giving the New York salute the way you have been. Yeah, it's been terrible.
Yeah, nothing I can do about it. I am what I am.
So thank you very much for being here. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And Michael, it's great to have you. I don't know if you're still there or not, but just want to say
I am. I'm always here.
And you got something coming up here? Anything exciting?
Yeah. I mean, I have Twill coming back. It's technically back now, but it's gonna be like back coming like tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm gonna be like doing a lot more work on like different projects and different videos on my channel and different series and stuff like that. And I'm bringing back my reaction series that surprisingly a lot of people liked. So, and I've had people ask me to bring it back multiple times. So I'm going to start doing that again, and things like that. So
I have to tell you.
I mean, what?
Your reaction videos, I find I enjoy those more than the original content. So I wait. If it's like, let's say it's something, just for an example, like somebody switching to Linux or like I don't know, if you want to pick on Linus Tech Tips because everybody else is, I would find your take a little bit more entertaining than just actually watching the original, your editorialization. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I'm actually going to be doing the Linus and Linus thing. Soon.
Yeah. That I really enjoyed that video though. I mean, even if it was,
I haven't seen it yet. So
okay. Yeah.
Because the whole saving it for reaction, whatever.
Right. Good idea.
Yeah, save it for reaction, because I found that so cringeworthy as well.
So I mean, Linus Sebastian is known for being cringy, so I'm not really surprised by that. But I do think it's going to be, it's fun because I had a lot of people ask me about it. what is hilarious is that I've had people like 99% of the people who comment about my reaction videos are talking about like they appreciate it and they're learning a lot from me because I don't just talk about like, oh wow, whatever, something like that. I'm actually giving context for what someone says or like, alternatives for what they're doing and things like that. And because I'm making a content that is meant to be helpful to anyone watching it, not necessarily reacting to that, like expecting the individual who I'm reacting to see it. That does happen sometimes, which is cool. But for the majority of the time, I'm not expecting that. But every once in a while, I'll get someone say, hey, you're talking too much in this reaction video. I want to just watch their video. I'm like, then just go watch their video. Like there's literally a link in the description to go watch it. Why are you watching this reaction video then? But it amuses me when those kind of comments show up because it's like, I mean, I'm giving you the link. Why are you even bothering to comment,
Yeah, that's actually, it's very amusing, I find. That someone, don't watch reaction video then if whatever.
Yeah. What are you expecting me to just like the typical reaction where like the people who are like just stealing people's content where they just smile and stare at the camera for nothing? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually give content. And if you don't want content, go watch the original, right. And also I'm giving you the link to the original. So maybe that's like like the old style of sending a link to someone. This is like the most elaborate way to send a link to someone. But yeah, there you go.
It's Michael's way of saying just Google it.
Yeah, that too. I don't typically say that though. I usually that's what's funny because I get people in like the live streams who are commenting about like, I'm sorry to ask you this question. You probably heard 1,000 times. And for me, I don't mind the same question, like, because it's always different depending on the person who's asking, because what the context, like, for example, like what distro should I use? I've seen so many people get annoyed by that. And it's like, but the question is different every single time. Just because it's the same words doesn't mean that it's not a different question, because they have different hardware, they have a different monitor, they have different expectations. That's all different. So I'm not bothered whatsoever.
The part of that question that irritates me is they never tell you what machine they have or what they use their computer for.
Yeah, but that's just a follow up, having that conversation, because usually they're not expecting anybody to respond. Because at this point, people
agree with that, but surely they've seen the question and they see the follow up. First follow up question is, what machine do you have and what do you need to use your computer for? We have those two things alone. I mean, that helps tenfold.
Yep. Also, you just reminded me of a. Does anyone here remember the "Let me Google that for you" website?
That was so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Good. Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
I think it's been around, but not,
it is.
Not
I just checked.
Not in such a corrosive way.
Gets us with it. Let me Google that for you, and he gets us with it if it's still around.
Well, and the one I used to use was the one that had the naughty word in it. That's that just told, but we'll just Google it. Yeah.
It goes to some Google private mode though, so it's a little bit less. It looks less like the Google site. So whatever, that's fine. I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but here we are. And then Mike, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hadn't been doing much of anything other than moving over to the new computer. So trying to get everything moved over to that, which has been a job in itself. And I do have a new version of MarkWhite coming out probably this month sometime. A few new features and a little bit faster code and all those good kind of things. So.
Yeah, I want to say I enjoyed playing on your BBS for a while. I didn't have a whole lot of time to mess around, but that was fun. Thanks for giving access to that. So yeah. Mike has a BBS. So I got onto it with my Commodore 64 as well, my new Commodore 64 I bought. So that was kind of fun. So anyway.
Let's go. If you can check it out, if you don't have a like SyncTerm or something installed, you can just go to www.classicbbs.net. And there's a web interface. You can actually log in via Telnet through the browser. So give it a try if you just want. If you if you're like me and you miss those days of having to wait 10 seconds for a screen to load.
Kind of slow down a little bit there, you know?
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think I'll talk to you about this later, but I would like to, for you, for the community free pour, I would like to feature some of your things you got going on. Because we haven't talked about Resize All. I'd like to maybe do that real soon, if whenever you're ready, and also even your BBS thing. I think that'd be fun to do as well. Or like I could, maybe do maybe do like a demonstration of what BBSs are, and then like we can do it because Discord actually does it very nicely how we can do that. So anyway, we'll talk about it some other time. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much for being here. It's fun to have you. All right. Also, I'm on a podcast called Linux Out Loud. You can check that out. I wasn't able to record this last time because I had a work thing interfere, so Bill and Wendy did that. But please check that out. Also, a website called cubicandlate.com. I publish things from time to time, so you can check that out. So I want to thank you all for your support and however you do it, being a part of this conversation in both the Discord meeting here on the YouTube stream, as well as for everyone watching the show after the fact. I want to thank everyone involved making the Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back into personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.
Bye.